My name is Kelsey, and the topic that I wanted to research was the Cuban Missile Crisis because I find that this is a part of history that I do not know much about and was less than 100 years ago, so I wanted to learn just a little bit more about it. My original research question was, how did the Cuban Missile Crisis affect the relationship between the United States and Cuba? Kind of looking at how has the Cuban Missile Crisis / Cold War affected Cuba economically, socially, politically, etc., which then turned into my official research question: how did the Cuban Missile Crisis affect the relationship between Cuba and the USSR, along with the relationship between the United States and the USSR? So to begin, I'll give you guys just a little bit of background of what the Cuban Missile Crisis was, the events leading up to it, and then talk a little bit about what the Cuban Missile Crisis entailed of. So to begin, what was the Cuban Missile Crisis? The Cuban Missile Crisis was a 13-day standoff between America, Cuba, and the Soviets, in which American spies found that the Soviets installed nuclear missiles in Cuba pointed towards the United States. The dates of the Cuban Missile Crisis are October 14, 1962 to October 28, 1962. What were the events leading up to the Cuban Missile Crisis, and how did nuclear war almost begin so quickly? In 1959, Fidel Castro took over Cuba, overthrowing the Cuban dictator Batista. American government worried as they knew Batista was a communist dictator, yet valued the relationship with America, while Castro wanted to reduce American influence on the island. In 1960, Castro created an alliance with the Soviet Union. America retaliated in response by prohibiting importation of Cuban sugar, and the USSR began to buy sugar in order to avoid the economy failing in Cuba. In 1961, there was the Bay of Pigs, April 17, 1961. The plan of the Bay of Pigs was to destroy Castro's tiny air force in order for Cuban exiles to successfully invade Cuba. The plan did not go as expected to. Castro and his military knew of the plan to invade, and Castro's military quickly attacked